It is Wild 95.5. What's up? It's Megan, and I am not alone in my studio today. I'm so excited because I have got one of my good friends and a guy that's getting ready to head out on that big Jonas 20 tour. I've got Greg from Boys Like Girls in the building. What is up? Gergory James.
What's up? How you doing? Thanks for having me.
No, thank you so much for being here. Now, you've got so many exciting things coming up, right? How pumped are you for this Jonas Brothers tour?
Yeah, you know, it's crazy. So we weren't planning on doing a tour this fall or this summer because we have such a big year lined up next year. And I was in Nashville at one of my favorite dive bars, went to play darts. There was nobody there. All four of the Jonas Brothers were there playing darts. Yeah, Frankie was there too. And I see Joe. I haven't seen Joe in over 10 years, you know, so I walk up and I say...
me either.
I said, hey, Greg from Boys Like Girls. He gave me a hug, and he goes, dude, so weird. No lie, we were talking about Boys Like Girls today. And I was like, oh, cool, you know, thanks, man. I've been fans of them. I think they've heard our music.
I would say
so.
Then,
like, 3 days later, we get an email that's like, oh, you're on the short list, the Jonas Brothers, for opening the tour. And I was like, oh, okay, you know, awesome. That would be fun to get
super cool.
Yeah. And then a couple days later, we got the tour, so
yay!
It's gonna be a fun summer.
You guys are gonna be now because I know that the opening acts are kind of splitting the tour, right? So
yeah.
Boys Like Girls is going to be on like the first handful, 16 shows. Is that what we said?
First 16 or so shows of the tour. Marshmallow's doing, I think, 5 of the shows we're on.
Very cool,
which is fun.
Yeah.
And then the back half is All American Rejects.
Very cool. What a fun tour. Is there any Jonas brother that you were like, that you hadn't met earlier on? Because obviously, you know, you're friends with Joe. But is there another like Joe bro, like back in the day that you like loved as much as I did?
I mean, I'm a huge Nick fan. I think Nick's songwriting is incredible.
Yes.
His voice is incredible. He's been on Broadway.
Yes.
Crushing it. So
he's currently in The Last 5 Years, which is actually one of my favorite off-Broadway musicals. Check it out if you get the chance. I would love to be able to see him live on that. So I'm actually surprised that they are planning such a big tour because it seems like all of them have a lot going on as well. But Boys Like Girls has been so busy. And as you mentioned, you guys have a really busy schedule even next year. But later this year, there's a really big show that I'm looking forward to. Maybe you remember it. It's called Warped Tour, finally coming back. How pumped are you to be on like the evolution, the re-reigning, rising Warped Tour? I was trying to think of cooler words, but I couldn't.
You know, it's exciting because Boys Like Girls was never really a Warped Tour band. Boys Like Girls played 1 year, I think it was like 2008. And then, you know, I grew up going to it. I went to Warped Tour when I was probably 13, 14 years old.
Awesome.
Saw Fall Out Boy play in front of, you know, a couple hundred people at that point when they were first starting.
My Fall Out Boy.
So when we got the call for that, we really wanted to make sure that it was going to work schedule-wise and that we could do it. You know, obviously, I love Orlando. I'm a Florida boy at heart.
Same.
So, yeah, we're excited for that one. We've got, in about a week, we're going back over to Asia. So we'll be in Singapore and the Philippines
Very cool.
for like the 3rd year in a row. We're hitting those countries.
Wow.
So it's going to start. Yeah, we've had a quiet start to 2024, working on new music, hanging out with each other, being friends, and now we're getting back to work.
That is awesome. Now, speaking of, I'm going to ask you some fun questions about you and the guys, okay?
Tell me.
So you're going on tour. I know you guys are stopping at truck stops or you're sneaking into like the little airport, convenience stores where you're paying too much money for water and bags of snacks. What is like your go-to? If you stop and there is this at a gas station or a convenience store, like you have to have it on tour.
Okay, so the way it works when you're on a bus is you never know where you are. You can't see out the windows unless you're in like the front lounge. So whenever the bus stops, you go on your phone and you go on Google Maps and you're like, what truck stop are we at? Where are we?
Yeah.
And whenever it's a Buc-ee's,
here we go.
Everyone literally pulls out their phone. They go, Buc-ee's, and everyone climbs out of their bunks and we go running in there.
I've never been to a Buc-ee's.
You haven't been to a Buc-ee's?
No, but we are getting one on the Treasure Coast. They've been like trying to work it out in like the Port St. Lucie area for the longest time. So I think that might be my first experience.
It's like if, the way I describe it is if Willy Wonka was from the South. Right? So you've got
lovely.
A whole entire jerky section of like different kinds of jerkies, sandwiches, hundreds of coffees and drinks to choose from, so I've spent way too much money at Buc-ee's.
I get that.
Sure.
Be honest, do you have any of their like merchandise, like a shirt or
1,000%.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. One of the other radio personalities, she went for the first time and she came back with like a hat, some leggings. Like she looked like Bucky. I'm like,
They do it right. They really do it right. I've got the hoodie. I still need more though. So.
not enough Buc-ee's. All right, noted. I'm going to have to get there sooner rather than later. So who on the tour, who in the bus is the messiest? Can you shout him out? Can you call him out? I know it's not you.
It's definitely
I happen
not
to
me.
know that you're a very cleanly person.
Yeah. I think it would, messiest? The person who spills things the most and breaks things the most is by far Martin. But his bunk is very clean.
Yeah.
He keeps his area clean. He's sometimes
Accident
spills
prone.
things and breaks bottles. But I think Jamel, I find his stuff everywhere.
Really? So he leaves stuff around the bus more.
Everywhere.
But Martin's the more accident prone.
And he'll forget where he left it.
That sounds right. Sounds
we
like
have
my husband.
what we call junk bunks, which is like bunks people aren't using that you can put, your day bag in there with a pair of shoes or something. And I'll find his stuff in my junk bunk all the time.
Like, how'd this get here?
No idea.
That's great. What is one of your favorite songs to perform on tour? I'm sure just performing for the crowd in general is such a great time for you, but there's got to be like one that you're like, all right, here we go.
I really like playing the new stuff. Miracle, when we started playing that live, was it went over really well. The crowd loved it. I love playing that song and the energy. In terms of the old stuff, Hero Heroine, by far, for sure.
Classic. And I'm sure everybody's like screaming that with you guys at the top of their lungs too, which has got to be a cool feeling.
It's nice to see the reaction of people when that intro starts and
Yeah.
everyone's faces kind of go,
I remember what my face did when you guys were performing at Sunfest. Was that last year? Last year you guys were at Sunfest?
year and a half ago, maybe?
Yeah, so it would have been like the last one because they skipped this year, unfortunately. But that's where I first interviewed you guys. And I remember like just jumping up and down and like screaming when that song started. So I can imagine.
What was your favorite song from that set?
Goodness gracious. I've got to pick one. I remember I posted a video dancing to that song and I was like, actually my husband took the video, so I didn't know that I was being recorded. And I mean, I'm like air drums, I'm guitar, I'm like swinging my hair around. So I might have to say Hero Heroine because it's the most like memorable. And then I posted the video and I was like, they say to dance like no one's watching.
Amazing.
That's what I did. So also something fun that I know about you is that you've been splitting your time with the band between Nashville, but you said earlier you're a Florida boy. So what's your history here in Florida?
So the four of us all grew up high school age together in Boston. We're all born and bred in Boston. Unfortunately, none of us live there anymore. We've all kind of relocated around the country, but each of us has a spot in Nashville. So that's sort of the band's home base at the moment. You know, all our gear is stored there. That's where we record. It's where we rehearse. So we all have a spot there, but I mean, I'm always going to keep something in Florida.
Yeah.
Just because, I mean, South Florida, you can't beat it. It's amazing.
Yeah, we're pretty lucky. It's like paradise all the time.
Nashville's also incredible. I'm blessed to be able to go back and forth, you know, from both places. And yeah.
Absolutely. Nice. One Jonas Brothers song that you're really looking forward to hearing them play live, like your favorite Joe Bro song.
It's the easiest question for me to answer ever.
What is it?
It's Year 3000.
Oh my gosh. Yes. What a banger. That's got to be like in my top 2 as well.
I'm hoping I can like set up some kind of side bet for sports or something with Joe where if I win, I get to come out and sing Year 3000. I think that would be a hack
Epic?
for me if I can figure that out. So
I just think that maybe you should just put it out there regardless and just kind of see what he says, because that would be insane. Okay, so we talked about the upcoming Jonas Brothers tour. I know October 24th is when it's going to be down here in Sunrise. Of course, Wild 95.5 is going to have your chance at those tickets. Make sure that you're checking out wild955.com/contest. And then you've got Warped Tour in October. You're heading overseas. Do you foresee a break for yourself anytime soon?
I do not, because Next year is the anniversary of the first record. Next year is the 20th anniversary. So
Oh my gosh.
it makes us feel quite old.
Stop it.
But also very blessed. And I think that we're going to try and do something special for that.
Okay, well, whatever it is, count me in. You know, I'm totally going to be in for whatever you guys
Always,
are doing.
Of course.
Love me some Boys Like Girls. Love this Jonas Brothers tour. I'm so excited for it to come down here to Amaranth Bank. Like I said, I'm probably going to keep begging for somebody's frequent flyer miles so that I can make it to one of the other cities that you guys are going to be on early on in the tour. I'm going to work it out.
You know, come to any show you want. We got you always. It's interesting because we've played almost every venue you can play in this country.
Yeah.
But this tour, there's so many firsts for us.
Really?
Growing up in Boston, going to Fenway Park to see Red Sox games. We've played the MGM twice that's connected to Fenway, but we've never actually played Fenway Park. So that's going to be a bucket list one for us and for our families. And
I bet.
special.
Yeah, that's really cool. I know that when you guys are playing in Detroit, that's fairly close to my hometown of Toledo, Ohio. And you guys are playing at Comerica Park, which is where I saw my very first ever concert, and it was NSYNC.
Incredible. Is that where the Tigers play?
Yes.
Okay.
It is,
amazing.
yeah.
There's
So
a
if
handful of baseball stadiums, so pretty cool.
There is, and they're really nice venues. So if I can see NSYNC there and Boys Like Girls, I mean, bucket list checks for your girl.
If you come to that one, I'll wear my NSYNC shirt for you.
Stop. Well, I'm booking a flight. Greg, thank you so much for hanging out with me in the studio. I am so looking forward to this Jonas Brothers tour. I'm so looking forward to Warped Tour this year and everything else that you guys have got working. Promise me that next time that you're around, that you'll come back and hang out.
When we release the new music, I'll come visit you. How about that?
Yay!
Cool.
I love that. All right.